Italians' View on Media Power by Sophie and Christina. She looked skeptical, almost flummoxed above the black frame of her glasses, just to make sure we weren't kidding when we asked whether or not she believed that Italy has free press. There is a lot of censorship, especially they can say something, but not all the truth, says Daniela, a young woman at 24 who lives in Rome, when talking about the power that especially Italy's former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi has achieved through the media, such as newspapers and television. She moved on, talking about a director, or an editor, who was sentenced 14 years in jail for saying something about a policeman. Later we read it was only 14 months, though the story is still very frightening. Somehow, though experts say that Italy has no censorship, one could argue that sending people to jail for saying their opinion is a form of indirect censorship, an example for the rest of the Italy's population. Jokingly, she points to a friend and asks to switch their names, so she won't be sent to jail. The fear for posting something in the news and being put in jail is not the only censorship. There is also a form of propaganda. Berlusconi is an excellent example. He is a businessman who owns a lot of the media in Italy. In addition to that, he is also a former prime minister. If you read his papers and compare them to other papers that he doesn't own, you can clearly see that he presents himself as voracious in his newspapers. At the same time, the pages flourishes with accusations against his opponents when it comes to politics. However, since newspapers aren't Italians' main source of information, it is not so relevant. No, the relevant is that he also owns 3 national channels out of 7, and he decides what is published. This is something that Berlusconi takes to his advantage when it comes to his own career. A survey done in the streets of Rome shows that it is not all Italians that read the newspapers, and it is very few that know who the owners of the papers are. On the other hand, almost everyone watches TV, and most part knows who the owner of the TV channels are. And it's about 67% that said they are critical towards information. Although many people answered that they are critical towards the information they receive, many are still influenced, because as Daniela points out, sometimes I feel angry or I feel sad for some news that actually are not the complete truth. So I get the wrong idea because I get the wrong facts. So there is a lot of influence. Even though she is critical towards information and is aware of the fact that indirect censorship exists in Italy. The biggest problem is where the influence comes from. The politicians in Italy are mostly businessmen like Berlusconi. They do what they can to influence the people through the media to get elected and get power, so that they can get advantages for their own business and own economy. So the only thing they care about is power and money, not to benefit the Italian population. The question is whether or not it is okay to be a businessman and at the same time go into politics. Daniela hesitates, looks down and shakes her head slightly. No, because businessmen are really good to do business, and people could be considered as money, so you can control people actually. I think that you have to study politics and be more human than a businessman. So people are not things, people are human beings. So you have to use other kind of logic that is not a logic that is used with money. That politics are controlled with a business mind shines through when you look at Berlusconi's politics. Businessmen are being supported and won over, while for example young people like herself are left in the dust and lost in Berlusconi's regime. Therefore, Daniela thinks that her point of view is shared by many of her younger countrymen.